Hello, my name is Mark Lynch, and I am the Senior Program Manager at the National Credit Union Foundation. This is the first in a series of training webinars which will help you plan and execute your life simulation. In this webinar, we will talk about just what exactly is a life simulation and all of the things that need to be done to plan for a simulation, such as who will be attending, who will be your volunteers, and how you can maximize the impact of your life simulation. A life simulation is an exercise designed to help credit union professionals and others in your community walk in the steps of households who are living month to month on low incomes. The simulation, not a game, will help participants understand what many of their members are facing each day. We as credit union professionals oftentimes do not understand the decisions our members make that impair their opportunity to obtain affordable credit and can cost them vast amounts of money. The life simulation will help participants understand that the decisions our members make are often the best options they have at that given moment. The simulation will help participants understand the stress that living in a low-wage household causes, and the lasting personal, emotional, and financial toll it takes on our members. The life simulation is a 4-hour program which includes the volunteer orientation and the life simulation itself. You should allow 75 minutes before starting a life simulation to train your volunteers. It then takes about 10 minutes for the participants to pick up their new identities and find their household unit. The group orientation takes around 30 minutes and the actual life simulation takes 70 minutes. Immediately the simulation concludes, you start your debriefing, which runs for around 40 minutes. It then takes about 15 minutes to pack up. If the room has not been set up prior to your arrival, allow an additional 2 hours to set up the room prior to the arrival of your volunteers. A successful life simulation takes coordination and attention to detail. A planning committee is ideal to share the workload and to expose 5 to 7 members of your staff to the planning process. Ideally, one or more of your planning committee will have participated in a simulation. If this is new to your organisation, the first step is to thoroughly review each packet in your life simulation kit. The next step is to appoint the simulation facilitator. Your facilitator must be a good speaker who is organised and can juggle many working pieces at one time. A good facilitator is crucial to the success of your program and should be involved in every step of the process. The next piece of the planning process is to decide who will be invited to participate in the simulation. Will it just be credit union staff? Will board members be invited? Will you be holding a simulation for community leaders? Will you be partnering with community organisations? What do you want your participants to come away with? What would you like your credit union or your community to do as a consequence of them participating in the simulation? Read through the debriefing section of the guide. It will give you some ideas to think about when considering your desired outcomes. When setting the date and time of the simulation, remember to allow 5.5 hours. This includes time to set up and time to pack up. The venue you choose for the simulation needs to be large enough to accommodate the number of participants you plan to invite. The ideal simulation space is a single room with at least 3,000 square feet. It is important to make sure that your simulation kit is ready to be used. It should be checked at least 1 week prior to the simulation. This gives you time to replace any missing pieces or make sure that your kit has been reassembled since it was last used. It is very important to recruit good volunteers for your simulation. A good volunteer is excited to participate and can play the assigned role with a level of realism. It is beneficial for the volunteer to have a working understanding of members facing financial difficulties and is able to respond appropriately. If your simulation has 90 or less participants, you will need 16 volunteers, not counting your facilitator. If you have more than 90 participants, you will need more volunteers. As you will see in the checklist, it is important to confirm with both participants and volunteers that they will be in attendance. Also make sure that you have a backup plan if one or more of your volunteers drops out at the last moment. A successful fair will have enthusiastic volunteers ready to take on their assigned roles. You can recruit volunteers from your staff, members of the community, community business partners, local college students, friends, and family. People with experience inside the social service system are a bonus. The role of the volunteer is explained in the orientation section of your guide. It is important that you have considered all the logistics for holding a simulation. You will need a life simulation kit that has been fully reconstructed if previously used. You will need 16 work tables, a facilitator's podium or table, 8 easels with flip charts, 200 chairs, a microphone, painter's tape, 8 markers, as well as dry erase markers and scratch pads. Make sure you arrange a venue with sufficient space. As mentioned previously, the ideal simulation space is a single room with at least 3,000 square feet. If possible, it helps to have the room set up prior to the day of the simulation. If you're using a hotel or conference venue, give a copy of the floor plan in advance and ask that it be set up in accordance with the floor plan prior to you arriving to conduct the simulation. If your organization is conducting the simulation for your employees or for a community group, be sure to reach out to Foundation staff so that we can share the great story with trade press. To do so, contact Lacey Adler at the Foundation. You should also let the local media and your local political leaders know what you are doing. Don't be shy, tell your story. In your guide, you will find a checklist of everything you need to do to prepare for your life simulation. This is a very useful tool to remind you what needs to be done, when it needs to be done by, and who is responsible for doing it. If you need any information or assistance to help you plan your life simulation, please contact Foundation staff.